Hi everyone, I would like to present you a beginner's clip this time, showing how important it is to keep center control, develop your pieces, so follow the basic opening principles. It's one of my own games. I played it against Coilman222, rated 1637 on chess.com, and I started with knight f3, which is just flexible opening of the c4. For instance, I can go into English lines, avoiding some lines which he might not play, for instance, because let's say his main weapon against the English opening is e5, and I avoid it with knight c6, trying to push e5. I simply play d4, and we have kind of a strange, maybe Chigorin kind of opening, which he might not be familiar with. Okay, after d5, there are two options. One is going to c4, which is the Reti system. The other is simply to play d4 and transpose into queen's pawn openings. After knight f6, c4, we get a basic queen's gambit opening. Now we lack some choices. One is to play d takes c4, which is the queen's gambit accepted, although it's not a real gambit. c6, which he played in the game, is the Slav, and e6, which is the general queen's gambit declined. After c6, the Slav opening, I usually play three systems. One is knight c3, which is the classical variation, immense massive theory. The other is queen c2, also quite interesting. But my favorite weapon is e3, which I play the most, and was even recommended by Boris Avrock in his excellent book Grandmaster Repertoire, First d4, volume 1 and 2. Okay, bishop g4 is one line. There are many systems. Of course, you can play this kind of Moran system. You can go for this a6 Slav. You can even develop the bishop to f5, which is in itself a different opening, a different approach to this opening. But okay, bishop g4 is also quite solid. Black's plan is simply to develop the piece before he shuts it in with e6. Problem being that these two pieces share one developing square, which is d7, because d6 is taken by the pawn. So he needs to arrange his pieces somehow, and one principle is to develop it first, either to g4 or to f5, before playing knight d7. Okay, so he plays it to g4, and the main line goes with h3. If the bishop h5, you can simply develop, for instance. But I choose an interesting line, which is which was also favored by Veselin Topalov, and I think it was used against, let me see, was it against Peter Liko? I'm not sure, but it's one interesting line which sidesteps the theory, the main body of theory, and poses concrete problems to black. I mean, we attack this pawn here, after which the rook would be attacked, and we gain some initiative. The main line goes with, you can, for instance, take. We can take there, and it's important to take here on g2. In blitz, many players just play this, knight b7, but they simply lose a pawn, and white's almost winning. I mean, you have slight problems developing, securing your king here, but I mean, you have a powerful center and quite easy development. Okay, b6. Usually b6 is kind of a bad move. In this case, I will show you some tactical ideas which are especially effective here and powerful here. Knight e5, which is very strong. In a way you threaten positionally because you attack the bishop. If knight takes, you can develop a tempi, bishop to e2, castle your king, and you just have the bishop pair and possibilities to strengthen your center with f3, e4. For instance, let me see, let's say he just develops. I would then probably, I think I can maybe even first take. That's one option. If he takes there, I develop with check. Knight goes to d7. And now, yeah, the simplest is probably just take, and collect this one. Okay, if h5 it goes simply back. If he plays f6 to try to trap this knight with h5 because we don't have any squares left. We could probably just play h4, I guess. Then knight h2, knight f3, and keep simply be a piece up. So yeah, he would have to go there, but we develop a powerful initiative. I mean, just bishop d2, threatening bishop b4 with yeah, huge problems. But we could probably also just go queen b4, queen d6 only move, because otherwise it's mate. Some queen d6 takes, king has to take, check, king goes back, we collect exchange, and this also should be easily winning. I mean, we have an exchange, we have an extra pawn, and yeah, should be enough. Okay, bishop h5. After bishop h5, I get some tactical ideas, because knight e5 does also increase the pressure against f7, the weakest spot in the initial position. And after bishop h5, I have some interesting tactical means. Let's see. C takes d, for instance. In general, it's dangerous to create a symmetrical position because it might be difficult to exploit any advantages. In an asymmetrical position, it's easier to play for a win, because you have your own plans. In a symmetrical position, you usually share the same elements, it's the same lines and so on. And here's some kind of a problem. For instance, if he takes with the pawn, I can play bishop b5. And he has some immense difficulties developing anything. I mean, if he goes, let's say if he goes there, it just hangs the pawn. The rook is threatening, and it's just a mess. If he goes knight b d7, which is the only other option, I could probably just take, threatening a discovered attack with double check and mate. If I now play knight takes f6, double check, it's simply mate. So he has to take with knight. I take here, threatening both the bishop and the rook, and threatening to take first. For instance, if he plays bishop g6, no, terms this rook is protected. I just check. It would be mate. The queen has to take, check. Queen has to go back. And now, from a practical point of view, I would just not play this. Simplify, and have a whole rook and a whole pawn up. Be a whole pawn up. So it's just easily winning. Let me see. Okay, if he goes bishop g4, with the simple idea of, just keeping an eye on this guy here. We are still a pawn up. In this case, I think it should even be enough to just develop your pieces. I think I'm gonna go for e6, bishop, queen b3. Yeah, he's just has just lost a pawn. Oh, let me see. This one isn't. You cannot even play this because now he interrupts the diagonal here, so I can again play this one. And after this, I could even take there, keeping 2 pawns, being 2 pawns up. For instance, if he takes, I take there, rook takes, and just 2 pawns up. Should be enough. Let me see. Okay, he cannot play e6, he cannot play knight f6, he has a problem to develop at all. But he can play bishop e6. It's probably even the only move. But now what about this? Just planning to play d5 maybe. And the bishop is trapped. So you see I have an extremely dangerous initiative. I think this position should be even winning. So you cannot play with c takes d. I would say it's maybe even a blunder. Okay, so if he takes with the queen, I guess I could even play this. I'm not sure. Let's see. The critical line goes with the queen takes g2. I take there. Well, if he takes, I take with the queen, go there. I'm not sure if this is. I mean, this king is horribly weak there. I just played knight c3, bishop d2, long castle, and maybe d5. The real problem being that with whichever piece he takes, either knight or queen, he does not have a central pawn there, and this means that my pawn here can move forward to e4, and this gives me an edge in the center. So I guess, yeah, I could probably even play simple chess. Now queen c2, now going for bishop, no, not bishop c4, maybe knight c3, and always hitting this vulnerable square. I guess it should be okay. Knight takes. Okay, after knight takes, as happened in the game, I play e4. As I mentioned, there isn't a pawn anymore, and I use this fact immediately. e4. Also opening this line here. Knight f6. Looks powerful, attacking this pawn here. But I have a very, very strong move. Let's stop this clip and see if you can find it yourself. A very strong tactical move. Bishop e2. Probably okay if he takes, it's yeah, just mate. He cannot take on e4 as I take the bishop. And now this pawn is hanging. And you cannot play e6 because I just take there over the knight. He cannot take here because I just take there, and if he checks me, I guess I just play bishop e3, hitting the queen with knight c3, and have a mass concentration here on this square. So if he takes, I once again go for this line, knight c3, and now just castle long, and the king has a problem. Okay, after e6, as he played, I just take it out. Take. So it's also a critical position. I mean, this knight is clearly misplaced. He cannot go to f4 as the bishop controls it. The pawn is currently threatened. You cannot develop the bishop to b4 as the queen is there. Yeah, so and otherwise I have a very powerful center and an active knight. And he has some weaknesses here. The b6 weakness this gives me a hook here with a4, a5. c6 is quite weak, and yeah, it's not that easy. I mean, he has some bad pieces. Okay, the next move is clear. I have to protect it. He goes back. He takes my pawn. I protect it, and I have a huge lead in development. I mean, next move I will just cancel, complete my development. He just needs 1, 2, 3 more moves at least to develop his to complete his development. But okay, this weakness, yeah, might even drain some more time. So yeah, it's not easy for black now. It's almost critical. Bishop d6. I would have preferred bishop e7 to be honest, just because of my next move, knight d3. Quite a useful move. I mean, I can go for b4, attack this pawn again. But the most important one is I just threaten e5. And the setup he chose is just vulnerable. Bishop c7. h3. I got the time, preventing knight g4, h6. Well, first of all, I thought, okay, this might be a loss of time because it's still lacking development, you know, and I don't know. Of course, bishop g5 might be an idea, but right now the pawn's needs protection, so I don't think it's necessary. But okay, castle, knight b7, yeah, it's okay. f4, stopping once again e5, and planning to play f5 myself. Castle, but now first e5. Well, probably the only move. Otherwise I would just play knight e4, continue f5. I take it, take, and play f5. And whenever you have more space, usually your pawns show you the direction to play. These pawns all show to the king side. And usually you push your pawn next to your most advanced pawn, which is in that case the f5, the f pawn, moving to f5. And after this I would say it's probably even lost. Practically maybe not, but I don't know. It's extremely difficult to play, especially for black. I mean, if he takes, I might even just take here, I guess. This pawn remains weak, but I guess I can even just play rook takes. This pawn is still weak, and it's not easy to get rid of the pressure. The rook e8, okay, I just play rook f3, playing to double, play knight f4, hitting this pawn here, and then use these light squares, which are quite weak, as you can see. This pawn is also a permanent weakness, and knight f4 shows it clearly. Knight f8, rook a to f1, according to my plan. And this bishop here is also, you know, it's not a pride. And okay, you know, if you have too many weaknesses, you should basically avoid weakening more squares. And now g5. Okay, g5 is, no, it just, I don't know how the saying goes, puts more fuel to the fire. I don't know. It's difficult because, I mean, basically, I need a weakness or something to penetrate, you know, in order to use my more active pieces. And with g5, he gives me this kind of weakness, these 2 pawns. I can, you know, at the moment I can play h4, and then the pawn on g5 will be forever weak. Knight h5 uses the fact that this square is unprotected, and after rook e7 he even blunders. Yeah, tactically I just take there, get a knight and the queen for 2 rooks, which is enough. And okay, the only counterplay he has is on the f line, f5. So I just block it, rook e to f7, with a very simple plan, bishop d8, hitting it, and at least gaining some pieces or some material for it. And now it's important to see the opponent's threats and to react according to it. h4. First of all, preventing bishop d8, this, because I just take, and bishop takes, threatening queen with mate. And okay, if he takes there, I take here, control the square, so he has to move, and yeah, then he lacks coordination, and without coordination it's just lost. You cannot get any counterplay for the material. After rook g7, he seemed to have missed a simple mate, because I just take, and bishop takes. Yeah, he has kind of a problem. The knight is very powerful placed there. Maybe he should, yeah, it's, okay, I don't know, I cannot even say he should, because even after this, I can just take there and there's a pin. This is easily winning. I mean, yeah, I just play here, threatening queen d7, double attack, it's easily won. And after queen, rook g5, as he played, queen h3, and he, okay, this, yeah, slowest mate. But otherwise, okay, the only move would be king g7, after queen h7. The queen controls everything, is protected, and the king is dead. Checkmate. Okay. Yeah, so I hope. Actually, I would say this this b6 move is just bad. In general, you should avoid b6 in the Slav, especially this pawn. It's always this square and this diagonal lacks protection. This diagonal is free, and white can usually exploit it easily. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lecture on also how to try to exploit more active pieces. Yeah, how to play if your opponent has to reduce the center control. In that case, that in this particular game, it's just probably would be losing. And yeah, how to exploit it. Use all the tactical means in the position. Try to increase your advantages, and yeah, slowly but surely win the game. Okay, thank you for watching, and see you next time.